Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
We're all running around here like chickens with our heads cut off. Chaos kids. I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi. Oh, and this is Crime, Wine, and Always Chaos.
Oh, sister.
I mean, I've been laying too low to be considered running around with my head cut off, but like the vibe is still like the vibe is that, right? Like the vibe is that for sure. For sure. Sister, what's going on with you?
Hello.
You're fasting today.
Today is fasting day. It's been okay-ish. I don't like the miracle juice. It's not a miracle.
Okay, what don't you like about it? It's not sweet enough.
It's way too tart.
Oh, well, you could just add more stevia sweetener.
I'm doing that. I added a little more water because it was like,
oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, cranberry juice is not my favorite.
I like it when it's in the form of like ocean spray, you know. Like, but not. Yeah.
But it's
I
also
don't know.
got lemon juice in it, like straight lemon juice, so
it's really acidic.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm doing fine, except that like on my half an hour break from when I got off my regular job until you and I did this, I'm just kind of like scrolling through the socials and all my For Yous are like food things because they're like recipes. And I was like, oh, this is not the...
That's torture.
No.
That's torture.
I know, like my mouth was watering and I was like, I gotta just step away from this.
But also, you know that like one day without eating food is like, you're fine. We're all fine. No one's...
Oh, it's not so much that. Well, yes, of course I'm fine.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think I might stick with these guidelines even post this.
I think that's a great idea.
And so that just was like, you know, I was watching this recipe for mini beef Wellingtons and I was like, well,
that's
not an option.
Let me tell you something, because I've done that. I've made those decisions. And this is when my like creativity in cooking and my skills in cooking actually comes even more into bear, because when we want to taste certain things or have certain experiences, but we're like, but I'm not eating these things. We find other ways to like bring that into our plate that's still delicious and like scratches that itch, but not as bad for us. Right. So this could be really a cool way for you to start taking ideas about like some of your favorite recipes or things that you want to try. And like, okay, well, how do I approximate that in a way that like aligns with the way I want to eat?
For sure.
You know, so that could be fun, actually.
It could be fun. I'm just, you know.
But today
wasn't the day to watch gooey mozzarella bread that you can make as an appetizer and dip into marinara sauce. And I was like, oh, fuck, man. That's exactly right. Oh,
well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for doing it.
Thank you.
And sticking to it. And I'm hoping that you see some good results, or at least feel better at the end of it. Like
I feel so much better. I am down 7 pounds already just from the prequel. Yeah.
Yep. It works.
So, which is why I want to keep doing it. But I just got to think of, like, it was fine knowing that it was going to be 7 days to just load up on like my fruits and veggies and just like fucking eat raw fruits and veggies or whatever. But you're right. I'm going to have to really start to think outside the box of like really creating like robust meals, because that's not sustainable to be like, well, I just eat an apple for breakfast and then a carrot for lunch. And it's like, no,
no, it's not sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, it's not practical.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So that's where I'm at. Sorry. So I'm drinking water.
You're drinking water. I'm drinking water. It's crime, water, and chaos today. It's fine. We still have crime. We still have chaos. Bring your beverage of choice, because we support recovery here too. So
Yeah.
We're not pushers.
Absolutely.
We're not pushers.
Bring a snack. We don't care. Bring a whole ass snack.
Amber is thinking about food, so if you've got some, eat it now because she can't. Do we have any announcements for the good of the order?
Just real quick, and again, it's going back to food. But
right.
But our buddy, the Seahawks beat the Broncos. Not that, hashtag sports ball. I don't know. But he was kind enough to send pictures of, this is Josh, our listener, of the Dick's burgers that he successfully made.
Yes.
And a very nice message. So thank you to Josh.
It sounds like they enjoyed their Dick's Deluxe. And even though their team didn't win, they had a delicious meal while they watched. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Josh. That's so great. Next, you got to do Pronto Pups. Go to our TikTok account. Get a TikTok. Josh, you got to have a TikTok account. You got to go to our TikTok account. Watch the video on the Pronto Pup day. And then you're going to want to make Pronto Pups.
I'll send you the recipe.
We'll post it. Amber, I've said this before. We'll post it in the Patreon. Amber will post the recipe in the Patreon.
Oh, shit. I got to write that down. I am
write that down.
Write that down. I'm kind of brain dead today.
That's okay. You know what? How about I tell you a crime story and you just sit back and enjoy and commentate? How's that?
That sounds amazing.
Okay. I'm going to tell you about the murder of Zebb Quinn. Do you know this one?
No.
Okay. So Zebb Quinn was born May 12th, 1981 in Asheville, North Carolina, and raised by his mom, Denise Vlahakis, with his sister, Brandy. Growing up, Zebb was described as a docile and gentle child.
Oh.
I know. He was smaller than a lot of kids his age, kind of clumsy. He did play sports and he joined the Boy Scouts, but he never really had any really close friends. He and his sister were really tight. They were always together growing up. Denise said that he had a bit of a learning disability and she thinks that this might have hindered him a bit socially. And while he really enjoyed fishing and did okay on his own, he was still kind of always really longing to fit in somewhere.
Yeah.
Brandy would laugh when she recalled that when Zebb was little, he used to say that he wanted to be a bus driver when he grew up.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know. I love it so much. But he joined the ROTC and he really seemed to love it. And he was dedicated to it, really enjoyed it, especially the community service projects that they did. And so, he's described as laid back, unassuming. When he grew into being a young man, he was, and he never got into trouble. So he joined the ROTC and it just really, it was unexpectedly a good fit for him. And he was really determined to get into the Army on the officer track. And Denise and Brandy both think that he really found something there. He just finally found a place that fit him. In January of 2000, Zebb is 18 years old and he's working in the electronics department of the local Walmart. It's the evening of Sunday, January 2nd. And for the first time in weeks, he's not working extra shifts because the holiday season has passed. His supervisor, Patty King, said that even though Zebb was technically part-time, he was always at the store. He found a second home there with his coworkers. All of them really liked him. And the older ladies that he worked with, especially adored him. There was one lady in particular that he really connected with who liked this iced tea from a certain restaurant somewhere in town, and he would always stop there and get her iced tea for her and bring it to her.
Oh, that's so sweet. God, what a nice young man.
Yeah, really. That's the consensus on Zebb is exactly that. So that night, his shift ended around 9 p.m. and he and his coworker / friend, Jason Owens, had plans to head out to Leicester so that Zebb could look at a car that Jason had told him about that was for sale out there. Zebb drove a Mazda Protege, but he wanted something newer, used, but new to him, and something sportier.
Okay.
So Asheville is a medium-sized city, kind of nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains in like the western part of North Carolina. And it looks like Leicester's about 20 to 25 minutes away, much, much smaller. And it's like up into the mountains more. Anyway, Jason meets up with Zebb in the Walmart parking lot, and they are going to drive to Leicester separately, right? So they leave the parking lot. Zebb is following Jason's truck. So Jason's driving his truck. Zebb's driving his Mazda. But Zebb never came back from that drive.
Okay.
So Denise had worked a late shift. She's a nurse at the local hospital, and she gets home around 9 p.m., like right around the same time that Zebb's supposed to be getting off work, and she pages Zebb. Remember, this is the year 2000. She wants to find out if he wants to go out for a late dinner with her and her boyfriend that night. And he doesn't answer her page, but she just assumed that he's working a longer shift like he had the previous few weeks. So she and her boyfriend decide to eat out without Zebb. So she pages him again when they get back from dinner. And again, he didn't call her back, which was really unusual for him. Now she's getting worried because anyone who knows Zebb knows that the best way to get a hold of him is through his pager.
Yeah.
And it's just not like him to ignore his pages. In fact, if Denise was running late or taking longer than normal because she was like stopping at her store on her way home or something, and she didn't tell Zebb, Zebb would let her have it. Right? Like that was their vibe, right? Like we check in. And he didn't necessarily like call to ask her for permission to do things, but he would always let her know what he was up to. Right?
Yeah. Super responsible.
Super responsible. So now it's like 10 o'clock at this point, 10:30, no word from Zebb. So Denise calls Walmart. And of course, that's when she finds out that he clocked out like an hour and a half ago.
Okay.
And now she's...
Oh, fuck.
Now she's...
And how far is this from his house?
Walmart or the Leicester?
Oh, how long of a drive was he expected to have had when he clocked out? To wherever he was going.
It was like 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how fast you drive to Leicester. Because it looked like Leicester is about 20-ish. It's roughly 20 miles outside of Asheville.
And it's been an hour and a half.
At least. So she's really worried now. She starts calling around, but no one has heard from Zebb. And she spends like a sleepless night wondering where he is. Every hour or two, she'd fall asleep and then wake up and then like page him again. And he's not calling back. And Brandy was really worried too, because, you know, he's not like Zebb is not rebellious. He's not careless. This is all just out of character for him.
Right.
By the following afternoon on the 3rd, Denise was officially worried enough that she drove to the Asheville Police Department to file a missing persons report on Zebb. Police started their investigation and got in touch with Jason Owens. According to Jason, they stopped off at a gas station on their way out of Asheville, and then Zebb flashed his lights at Jason to indicate he was pulling over. Zebb hops out of his car and jogs up to Jason's truck, asking to use his cell phone to make a call. Jason says he doesn't have a cell phone, but there's a payphone at the gas station up the road. So Zebb told him he just received a page and needed to call whoever was paging him like right now. So Zebb drives off and makes a call at a payphone. And when he comes back, he tells Jason that he's got to go. Jason says Zebb was frantic and in a hurry, and Zebb ended up rear-ending Jason's truck in the mad dash to leave because of this super upsetting phone call. And he tells Jason he'll settle up for the damage to the truck when he gets done with whatever this urgent thing is he's running off to take care of.
Weird.
Police did snag CCTV footage from the gas station where the two young men supposedly stopped on their way out of town, and confirmed that at least this part of Jason's story was true, as they were both captured on security footage inside the convenience store purchasing sodas around 9:15.
But it didn't capture the interaction and the car situation.
No.
Okay.
On the morning of Tuesday the 4th, so the day after Zebb was reported missing by Denise, Patty, Zebb's supervisor, is on shift at Walmart and gets a phone call from someone claiming to be Zebb calling out sick from work.
What?
Yeah, Patty has been Zebb's supervisor for like 2 years, and she knows this is not him on the phone. So she's all, who is this? And they said, this is Zebb Quinn. I will not be into work today. So
I just got chills.
Smart cookie that she is, knowing that the line she's on doesn't call out of the store, she starts asking questions like, what department do you work in? And what time were you scheduled today? While she's making her way, like stretching the phone cord over to another department that has a phone that does call out. So she can transfer the call to that phone. And when the call ends, she *69s it.
Oh my God.
Right?
Brilliant.
Yes.
That's so smart.
Right.
God.
So she calls the number back and it rang to the Volvo Construction Company. Patty knew this was no good. She just knew that Zebb was in danger, like something bad was going on. So she calls Denise to tell her about this strange call. On the one hand, Denise also knew this was not a good sign, but she also was a little bit excited about it because it was something. She'd spent the last 2 days with nothing. So Denise immediately calls the police to inform them of this call. And in the meantime, Zebb's coworkers connect the dots and they think they know who made that call to Patty. One of their coworkers who worked part-time as a night shift stock person at Walmart also worked part-time at the Volvo Construction Company.
Oh. Well, then this guy is real fucking dumb because at first I'm thinking this is somebody who's removed enough from Zebb that they like, oh, it's Walmart. It's not like you have personal relationships or, you know what I'm saying? Like this guy's stupid.
Yeah, it was Jason.
Like
it was Jason.
Fucking Jason. Somebody that didn't know that he was beloved there.
It was the same guy that he drove away with that night.
Fucking, I hate everything right now.
Yeah, it was the same guy.
What an idiot.
So when police asked Jason about this phone call, he's like, yeah, I made that call. But he was like, I did it on behalf of Zebb because Zebb called me that morning and he asked me to call in sick for him.
Why would he need you to do that?
He said, I don't know why Zebb wasn't making the call himself, but I'm just helping out my buddy, you know? But I haven't heard from him since then.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So, of course, no one in Zebb's family believes this bullshit, and the police don't really believe it either, but they have nothing else on this guy, so they kind of have to let this lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
When police call the construction company that Jason worked for, they find out that Jason had called in late to work the day after Zebb went missing.
Okay.
And they also find out something else that Jason had not told them when they questioned him. Apparently, he told his boss that he'd been in a second car accident the morning after Zebb disappeared. He said he pulled out of the parking lot of the Waffle House on Longshores Road and struck another vehicle. And Jason would be treated at the hospital for a cracked rib and a minor head injury.
What?
Yeah. Police find the story sus and check his truck and find minimal damage. And there's no report of any such incident happening on Long Shoals Road. He is definitely a person of interest in Zebb's disappearance. They have no evidence to charge him with anything.
Right.
Then the police get hip to a gal named Misty Taylor.
You know, I don't want to offend the Misties of the world, but is that what you were thinking too?
Listen to episodes is the disappearance of Misty Copsey, Amber.
I know. I feel like I've only known a couple of Misties.
Right.
Okay.
So Zebb had met 19-year-old Misty at a Christmas party in early December, and the two struck up a friendship. Zebb reportedly had a romantic interest in Misty, and the two had started hanging out and talking quite a bit. One of Zebb's friends later recalled, quote, "That's all he talked about was this girl."
Hmm.
Misty had a baby and a boyfriend, but that didn't keep Zebb from pursuing a relationship with her.
Was her boyfriend Jason?
No.
Oh,
When
okay.
he learned that Misty's boyfriend, Wesley Smith, was abusive to her, Zebb wanted to help her. And he told some of his friends and family that this Wesley dude had even threatened Zebb after finding out that he and Misty had been hanging out and talking. He had gone over to Misty's house one day, not knowing that Wesley was there, and Zebb told Patty that he was actually scared.
Oh.
Misty basically minimized all of this. When police questioned her, she claimed that Zebb was just an acquaintance. Well, everyone who knew Zebb knew that the two had been having extensive phone conversations and spending time together.
Mm-hmm.
Zebb had talked about it with all of them. Denise got really angry with Zebb one time because he'd taken Denise's car to go pick up Misty, her baby, and some young child that Misty was babysitting. And Zebb took them all to the mall to go shopping. And Denise paged Zebb 3 times before he finally called her, which, as we know, is not typical behavior for Zebb. I get the impression that his friends and family were like not super supportive of Zebb's infatuation with Misty.
Yeah, because it sounds like you're just asking for some trouble.
And it's
a messy situation.
It's
Yeah.
messy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
You know, like you need something less complicated.
Mm-hmm. Especially that young. Yeah.
Yes. His coworkers warned him that she was not a good match for him, but this advice was falling on deaf ears.
Mm-hmm. I had a boss that used to say it falls on death's ears because she didn't know.
Is she the same one that would say for your FYI?
No, but she said Pacific.
Hey, everyone makes that mistake sometimes.
No, she didn't. It wasn't a mistake. No. Anyway.
On New Year's Eve, Zebb and Misty spent the evening at their homes on the phone with each other most of the night. But then 2 days passed and Zebb didn't hear from her and he was worried. So he called her, but he forgot to dial *67 before he dialed the number, which would prevent someone from tracing the call back to his home number, which he'd been doing previously to make sure that Wesley didn't know when Zebb was calling Misty.
Mm-hmm.
His grandmother said he abruptly hung up the phone and said, "I'm in trouble now. I'm in big trouble now."
Oh, Zebb.
Police continued pushing Misty about her relationship with Zebb, and she just sticks to her story. They are just acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
When they asked her where she was the night Zebb went missing, she said she was home with her boyfriend and their baby, as well as her mother and her father, and her mom's friend was there as well. Her mom's friend is Ina Ustich, Zebb's dad's sister.
Okay.
So his aunt on his dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
Ina and Misty's mom are going into business together to open a restaurant. And they're like
Weird.
really good friends.
Weird.
Right.
Just,
So to check.
I need a cork board with some red string.
I know there's a lot of names in here. So to check on Misty's alibi, investigators go looking for Wesley and they find him at a house where he's working as a painter. He confirms Misty's story, but the two of them remain persons of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when police go digging into Zebb's pager records, they see that he did receive a page that night and the number belonged to his aunt Ina.
Okay.
And that's really weird because Zebb didn't really talk to his aunt and he didn't have any real contact with her at all prior to his disappearance, not since his parents had divorced. Zebb didn't have a great relationship with his dad, and it had always been a rocky one while Zebb was growing up, and he wasn't close to his dad's side of the family at all.
This is so weird.
It's really weird. Even stranger, Ina was like, yeah, no, I didn't page him. I wasn't even home that night. I was over at a friend's house for dinner when that page was sent. She was with Misty and Wesley and Misty's parents.
But the page came from her landline?
Yes.
Mm.
So on the 6th, 3 days after Zebb was reported missing, his car is discovered. Denise gets a phone call from someone Zebb had gone to high school with that was also a nurse at the hospital where Denise works. She says that she swears, this coworker of Denise, this other nurse, tells Denise that she swears she saw Zebb's Mazda protege parked in the parking lot of a barbecue joint literally right next to the hospital. She saw it like as she was driving into work, like as she was turning in to go to work, she passed right by it.
Whoa.
Because like the parking lots are like adjacent.
Uh-huh.
So Denise races over to the parking lot, sees Zebb's car, calls it into the cops who come out to investigate. They pour over this fucking car, right?
Mm-hmm.
They found it with the headlights on, the windows all cracked open. There was a pair of like crudely drawn, really big like lips and an exclamation point like in lipstick on the back windshield of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a black lab mix puppy inside the car, alive.
What the fuck is going on?
It's so weird.
This is so weird.
They also found a plastic hotel room key in the car. They went to every local and like semi-local hotel they could think of, but they were unable to find out which hotel this hotel room key came from. And because they couldn't find its origin, they couldn't access any of the information on the card.
Oh, God.
Additionally, they found a bunch of bottles and a jacket that didn't belong to Zebb. The police went to numerous shelters and breeders trying to find out where this puppy came from, but they were unable to determine where it came from, and nothing else in the car gave the police any leads.
That is so weird.
It's weird.
A puppy. Oh my God. Okay.
So Denise is convinced that whoever put Zebb's car there did so knowing full well that she and Brandy both worked at the hospital and that one of them would recognize his car like sitting there. The whole thing felt to them like someone trying to throw a bunch of red herrings in the mix, especially the puppy.
Yeah.
The puppy, by the way, was later adopted by one of the investigators. The police agreed that the car felt staged, like the location in the lot, like so close to the road, the markings on the windshield, like was all on purpose so the car would be found.
Yeah. And right next to where his mom works.
Right. With a live dog in it. They're like, somebody sees a car with like a puppy locked inside. They're calling that shit in, right?
For sure.
So a little over a week after Zebb's car is located, a couple called into police. They claimed they had seen Zebb's Mazda being driven in downtown Asheville by a young woman prior to the car being located.
Mm-hmm.
They had taken down a partial license and it was a match for Zebb's car. They also took note of the woman who was driving it. And once they heard the car had been found, they called it in. They went down to the station to speak with the police and ended up working with a sketch artist, put together a composite of who they saw driving Zebb's car. And the woman in the sketch looked a hell of a lot like Misty fucking Taylor.
You don't say.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
Misty gets brought in for more questions. She denies she ever drove Zebb's car. And she says those people just made the whole thing up.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally. So without anything else to substantiate this information, the police have to let Misty go.
Mm-hmm.
Then detectives learned that Aunt Ina has filed a police report claiming her home had been broken into on the same night that Zebb went missing. And while she didn't report anything stolen, she did say that some picture frames and other items had been moved around.
Oh, God, that's so creepy. And a phone call to his pager was made.
Detectives found the whole story sus because it sounded a lot like she was making up a story to explain away the call that paged Zebb that night. Like, who breaks into a house just to use the phone?
Yeah.
But they have nothing to prove the burglary didn't occur, so...
Right.
Months pass. There's no new developments in Zebb's case. But in the fall of 2001, police tried to make a routine traffic stop on a busy road in Asheville. The driver is Jason Owens.
Mm-hmm.
But he refuses to pull over, and instead he floors it and turns it into a high-speed chase.
Because, again, when people are presented with choices of hard things, that's the better one.
Right.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Then Jason actually fires a shot out of his window back at the cop car that's chasing him.
Okay, that fucking escalated quickly. God, Jason.
So
relax.
The officer is eventually able to arrest Jason. He's charged with a DUI, assaulting an officer, speeding to elude arrest, various other charges. He's sentenced to 4 years in prison. While he's under arrest, investigators hope to talk to him about Zebb's case, but his lawyers advise him not to.
Mm-hmm.
Police question him numerous times over the years. He remains a person of interest, but he denies knowing anything about what happened to Zebb, and the cops don't have any evidence linking him to the case. They're also trying to establish a connection between Jason and Wesley.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, the one person police suspected had an actual motive to harm Zebb, but they're unable to do that The two men deny knowing each other, and Misty and Wesley also deny knowing what happened to Zebb. So all three of these people remain persons of interest, but they have
Nobody's been arrested?
No.
Oh my God.
So the police had no evidence that could take their investigation further in any direction, and the disappearance of Zebb Quinn would eventually go cold. They do keep a DNA sample of Katie, the black lab, in case someday that becomes relevant to the evidence later down the road. The detective that has her says over the years, a lot of people have joked that if that dog could talk, she could tell us what happened to Zebb.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 years goes by. And then on March 17th, 2015, Jason Owens would be arrested in a totally unrelated incident. 3 days prior, on the 14th, Christy Schoen and her husband, JT Codd, had been reported missing from their Leicester home by their family, who had been unable to reach them. Christy had been a contestant on a Food Network cooking competition show where she met JT, who was a key grip, and the two had married the previous year. Christy was born in Madrid, Spain, and grew up cooking primarily Cajun cuisine with her father, who was in the U.S. Air Force. They had lived a bunch of places, including Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
An investigation of their disappearance by police led them to local contractor Jason Owens. He had been doing work on their home, and a neighbor had reported seeing him put large garbage bags in a dumpster somewhere, which I have to make note of. Like, that's not weird, but
no.
Police obtained a warrant to search his home, where they found Christy and JT's dismembered remains burned in a wood stove on his property, which was not far from Christy and JT's property.
Oh.
Christy was 5 months pregnant at the time with the couple's first baby.
Oh my God. Why? What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Where do you even start, right?
I don't know.
The county DA told the press, quote, because there are no surviving witnesses and Jason had exclusive control of the crime scene for several days and he had nearly completed the gruesome project of cremating his victims' remains, we will never know many of the facts surrounding the Codd's death. What we do know is that through both a solid investigation and a competent interrogation by law enforcement, Owens confessed to being responsible for killing the Codds and further admitted to dismembering and burning their physical remains in his wood stove.
Oh.
Because he had destroyed almost completely any evidence of what happened to Christy and JT, all the cops had to go on was what Jason told them. And what he said was, he accidentally ran over Christy and JT as they were trying to get his truck out of a ditch.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. An attorney for him would later state in court that he was on prescribed medication for depression and was heavily impaired. And, you know, like it always goes, he was panicked and worried about going to jail. So the answer to that was to hack these bodies up, dismember these human beings, because that's what you do in a panic.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And burn them.
Right.
Then he sold their personal items and moved their cars to make it look like a robbery. Panic. It's panic.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's ridiculous because how many times have we heard I panicked, so I chopped them up.
Sorry. That's funny.
It's insane, right? Because we hear it all the time.
I know. I've never been panicked and had like an urge to chop something up. That's never been like, oh, I got to calm my nerves. Give me something to chop. What?
So this is all playing out over the course of like the next couple years, because it wasn't until April of 2017 that Jason Owens would plead guilty to 3 counts of second-degree murder. I'm guessing they're including the fetus as a murder charge. This is North Carolina.
Yeah.
And 2 counts of dismembering remains, basically to avoid the death penalty. That's why he pled guilty. His minimum sentence for these murders is 59 and a half years with a maximum of 74 and a half years. But in the midst of all this, detectives still wanting to solve the mystery of Zebb Quinn get in on this search warrant action. I'm guessing that the fact that this dude admitted to killing, dismembering, and burning the bodies of Christy and JT was like probable cause enough for these detectives to get access to search for their own case.
Alrighty, we're going to come on in.
I think we finally got enough for a judge to sign off on this. And what they find in June of 2015 is fabric, leather materials, and unknown hard fragments under a layer of concrete on Jason's property. One article I read said they had received a tip at some point about a fish pond project that Jason had started and abandoned soon after Zebb had gone missing. And this was the layer of concrete that they were searching under.
Oh my God.
According to the warrant, investigators also found an unknown white powder substance as well as pieces of metal and concrete on another part of the property. Authorities found numerous plastic bags containing possibly pulverized lime or powdered mortar mix. Authorities did not comment on whether the fragments found were human bones or if they believed that they had discovered Quinn's remains, citing an ongoing investigation. On July 10th, 2017, 3 months after pleading guilty to the murder of Christy, JT, and their not yet born baby, a grand jury charged Robert Jason Owens with the murder of Zebb Quinn.
Wow.
In July 2022, it was announced that Jason had told investigators back in 2018 that a family member of his had actually killed Zebb, dismembered his body, and burned the remains, and that evidence could be found in Bent Creek Experimental Forest.
A family member, huh?
Later that same month, on July 25th, 2022, Jason Owens would make another plea deal. He would plead guilty to a lesser charge of accessory after the fact to first-degree murder, and his attorneys would tell the court what Robert Jason Owens claims happened to Zebb Quinn the night of January 2nd, 2000, over 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed that Misty Taylor's shitty boyfriend, Wesley Smith, had hired Jason Owens' uncle, Walter Gene Owens, to kill Zebb Quinn. According to Jason, he and Zebb had both been unknowingly lured by Jason's Uncle Gene to meet Misty that night in Pisgah National Forest. And when Jason and Zebb got there, they found Uncle Gene instead of Misty.
Mm-hmm.
Jason says that Uncle Gene murdered Zebb with a .22 rifle, and then Jason helped Uncle Gene dismember and burn Zebb's body.
Because he panicked.
There was panic.
There was panic. Jason sucks.
Yeah. Jason Owens received another 12.5 to 15 3/4 years for the accessory after the fact charge to run concurrently with his de facto life sentence for the murders and dismemberments of Christy and JT. Wow. Uncle Gene Owens died in 2017, so he was never brought in for questioning, let alone charged with anything. Wesley Smith remains free and uncharged for his alleged role as the one who set the whole thing up. But Jason Owens being convicted in contributing to Zebb's death legally establishes that Zebb Quinn was murdered despite the absence of a body.
Mm-hmm.
In 2012, Disappeared did an episode on Zebb. So this was before all this other stuff went down. And so Denise and Randy were talking about just like the not knowing, just the not knowing.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just...
Poor family.
That's the murder of Zebb Quinn.
I hated that.
I'm sorry, sister.
That's okay.
That's what I have for you today.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
That was fucking terrible.
Sorry, sis.
And it made me sad.
Me too.
Hopefully you'll find this to be a little bit lighthearted. Are you ready for some chaos?
Always. You know I'm always ready for chaos.
This one was a listener suggestion from Jenny A.
Okay. Jenny.
And
I hope this was a good suggestion.
Jenny from the block. I'm going to tell you about Mike, the headless chicken.
Oh my God.
Have you heard of Mike, the headless chicken?
No.
I love that there's a chicken named Mike.
Oh, I feel bad for him though. He has no head.
I know.
What's going on? Okay.
Okay, so trigger warning for animal cruelty.
Yeah, you know what? Animal lovers who can't do it, like it was, you know what? It was chaotic. Bye.
Bye. See you next time. Yeah, dip out. It's okay. No judgment. You got to take care of you.
That's right.
Okay. So this is the Olsen family who were farmers living in Fruta, Colorado in 1945.
Okay.
It's September. And during this time, many farmers supplemented their rations by selling eggs, milk, and chickens at, local markets,
Mhm.
trades, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The Olsons were no different, and they were preparing a batch of 40 to 50 chickens for the market.
That's a really
So-
nice way of saying they're killing 40 to 50 chickens.
They're going to kill the chickens.
Okay.
So these Olsons, Lloyd and Clara, Lloyd would cut off the heads and Clara would pluck and clean the chickens.
Okay.
So Lloyd gets his axe and rounds up his flock, and he chops the heads off of a bunch of chickens. And one of these chickens, who was actually a rooster because it was a boy, right,
Uh-huh.
was Mike. Rooster Mike.
Okay. They had named him. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Why do you name? I don't know if they named him after this or if they don't name things that you're going to eat.
Okay.
So he cuts Mike's head off, but he missed the jugular vein, one ear, and most of the brainstem. So Mike is still alive.
He did not do a good job.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yep. Because of the portion of the brain that was left behind, the chicken, or Mike, could still balance on a perch. He walked a little clumsy, and he attempted to peck the ground for food.
Oh, this is sister. No, this is bad. I don't like this.
I'm sorry. He tried to crow, but it just, sorry, but it just came out like a garble.
Oh.
But basic functions like breathing and heart rate, as well as most of a chicken's reflexes, are controlled by the brainstem. So other than being headless, Mike was pretty healthy.
I don't even know.
I,
I am mortified right now.
I'm sorry. Sorry. This is what I needed. I needed a reason to feel like, you know what? I don't want to eat any food right now. I'm good. I'm good. Mm-hmm.
Mike can't eat any food.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So birds also have a secondary balance organ in the pelvis known as the limbascular organ, which controls walking. This has been used to explain how a headless chicken can walk and balance, because they will run around for a little bit initially before they pass away anyway.
Right.
Yes. It is speculated that Mike had an unknown blood clot, which kept him from bleeding out and bleeding to death when his head was removed.
This is crazy.
So
pants.
He's just very much alive. Just vibing. So the Olsons struggled financially, as did a lot of farmers during that time. And so they see this as an opportunity to make some money using Mike the Headless Chicken as an attraction.
Oh my God. This just gets worse and worse. This poor Mike. This is not.
I'm sorry. It's sad and it's ridiculous.
This is horrifying. I hate it.
Sorry. Okay, well, it's very short.
Okay, great.
This will be over soon.
Okay.
So they also figure out that they can feed Mike using an eyedropper of milk and water and sometimes small grains and corn worms through his stub, which will then go down his throat.
Oh my God.
And they use a syringe to clear out any mucus in his throat.
I just don't even have words, sister. What are you doing to me?
It was a listener suggestion.
You guys.
Okay, so Mike was then taken on tour where he began his career as a sideshow act.
This is worse than Elmer. This is worse than Elmer going around as a mummy after being propped up in the corner of that mortician's place for people to take pictures with. I can't. What are we?
Oh.
That sentence is bonkers.
That sentence is bonkers. I know. I'm so sorry. So he's featured in several magazines, including Time and Life.
What?
Oh, Time and Life magazine.
I don't even. If you ever wondered if Time or Life magazine were like serious or legitimate fucking sources of information, the answer is no. This is. They never have been.
Well, Mike is serious. Mike is a serious chicken.
Stop it. Poor Mike. Someone needs to put Mike out of his misery.
Yeah. Okay, so he's featured. He's put on display to the public who could come and see him for 25 cents.
That's a steep price.
That would be $3 in today's money.
To see a chicken?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. At the height of his fame, he was bringing in $4,500 per month, which would be $62,000 per month today.
But how long can a chicken live? I mean, like, how long can this even go on?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. When he wasn't performing, Mike would be on the farm integrated in with the rest of the flock, just hanging out.
Okay. And none of the other chickens found him odd or he wasn't like shunned or anything?
I didn't ask the other chickens what their feelings were at the time. But I don't know.
Like,
these are animals that don't need a head to still just be thriving. So I don't know that they're like, let's critically think for a moment here about what's going on with Mike.
like an instinctual, visceral response of like, ew.
Maybe. Don't come pecking at the ground near me, Mike.
I'm just okay.
Yeah. Okay, so in March of 1947, Mike was on tour and staying in a hotel.
In like the presidential suite? What am I doing? What?
He's bringing in a lot of money.
I can't.
Okay, he's on tour. They're staying in Phoenix in a hotel with Lloyd and Clara when the couple was awoken in the middle of the night to Mike choking on his mucus. And they looked around only to realize that they had left the sucking syringe to clear his airway at the last city they were in. So Mike ended up choking to death and passing away.
In Phoenix.
In Phoenix in a hotel.
Like a rock star.
Yes. Yep. He woke up in his own vomit.
He aspirated in a hotel on tour.
That's correct.
What?
Yep. He had lived for 18 months without his head.
I really hope they socked that money away and didn't spend it like rock stars.
Spend it like rock stars. I know. Oh my God. So there is a Mike the Headless Chicken Festival that's held every year in Fruita, Colorado since 1999.
What?
Mm-hmm. It's held the third weekend in May and includes a 5K run, like a headless chicken, egg toss, pin the head on the chicken, and chicken bingo. There are also food vendors and live music.
There's a...
Do you want to go?
I'm very disturbed right now.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Jenny!
I only have 2 more sentences. Then you can let out all your feels.
Okay.
In 2019, more than 20,000 people turned out for the Headless Chicken Festival. It's the event. And there is also a metal statue of Mike in Fruita, Colorado.
A statue of a headless rooster.
Yes.
Who died aspirating on his own mucus in a hotel in Arizona.
While on tour. Yep. Yep. Okay, but that is a weird story, right?
I don't even have... Weird is not even touching it for me. I don't even know.
She's, ladies and gentlemen, she's speechless.
Nothing. I don't even know. Like, what? There's just so much wrong. There's just so much wrong with that story.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I'll forgive you, but I know that now, and I can never unknow it.
No, you can't. I am so sorry. Of all the horrific things we've told each other, this might be the most upset I've ever seen you. And it's a chicken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
it's up there. It's up there.
I am sorry.
It's up there. I mean, it's like this weird, small, weird niche story that for me just speaks to like so many broader themes. And I can't put words to it right now, but it's like the desperation of the time, the way that they capitalized on this horror show that they created. Because what's his name? The guy? Lloyd, because Lloyd did a bad fucking job of like humanely butchering this animal. I can't. I can't. And all the people that were like, take my money because I want to see this.
It's gross.
It's gross on so many levels.
Sister, I'm sorry.
And then a festival. The festival is like, I can't, like, it's all just hilarious. Does the money, who puts it on? Where does the money go? Does it go to something good?
I don't know. I hope it goes towards like a chicken sanctuary.
I bet you it's just like raises money for the town.
Probably.
Like,
yeah.
The most interesting thing that ever happened in that little town in Colorado was Mike.
Yeah.
The headless
for sure.
rooster.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we did that.
Yep, that happened. You can contact us on our webpage or on our Patreon page.
Yeah.
Or at crimewineandchaos@gmail.com.
Right.
Amber
gets the love letters. I get the hate mail, but they all go to the same email address. So
correct. Okay.
You could become a Patreon member. You could be a Chaos Kids Club member. Patreon.com/Crime Wine and Chaos, and you get an extra episode every month. And new episodes drop a day early for the Chaos Kids Club members. So do that. Or just write us a review, give us a rating wherever you listen to us on your streaming apps, because that helps other people find us, and that would be cool.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, I guess this was chaotic.
This was so fucking
chaotic. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Wine and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers. When we started recording, it said you have 50 minutes left in your billing cycle, and that doesn't even seem right to me.